Are you concerned about your kids? Are you looking for answers to parenting questions or searching for ways to keep your kids safe and healthy in today's world? You can find answers at Herbert.
Hello, I'm Jeanette Herbert, First Lady of Utah. I'm excited to tell you about my initiative, Families, by connecting parents with programs, resources, and information that help parents acquire the skills necessary to raise responsible children.
The goal of Uplift Families is to provide information through web-based resources, social media, educational materials, and by hosting yearly conferences on parenting and family issues. An essential component of Uplift Families is its website, upliftfamilies.org. Upliftfamilies.org contains links to select programs, organizations, that provide important information that can help parents. The website showcases tips talks from Uplift Families, pertinent articles, and other information that strengthen families. The highlight of upliftfamilies.org is the state-of-the-art Parent Resource Center that features more than 1,000 links to trusted family information sources. Anyone can find answers to parenting questions. Simply go to Uplift Families Parent Resource Center and search by keyword.
I invite you to visit and find value and benefit your children and family. Remember,
for more information, go to upliftfamilies.org.
Now let's welcome to the stage our MC for this evening, television personality, reporter, and anchor for KUTV Channel 2 News, Utah's own Jade Elliott.
Thank you, guys. How was dinner? Good, yeah? Welcome you guys to the 2019 Uplift Families Parenting Conference at Thanksgiving Point. We would like to community, government, and international leaders here tonight, including, of course, our very own Utah Governor, Gary R. Herbert, and, of course, the First Lady, who will be joining me on stage here in just a moment. Welcome our guests at our Facebook Live broadcast and our special gathering in Cache County. Uplift Families is an initiative of the First Lady of Utah. The purpose of Uplift Families is to provide parents with resources that can improve their parenting skills, there's resources that are made available at the conference, like you're all attending tonight, also through our YouTube channel and our state-of-the-art website, upliftfamilies.org. It also features on the website the Uplift Families Parent Resource Center. And if you haven't gone there before, I employ a number of resources for parents, for mothers, for fathers. So take a moment and take a look at that if you haven't. We are proud to present our 8th annual parenting conference. Tonight you'll be inspired, you'll be educated, and you'll also be entertained by, not me, but renowned speakers and qualified experts giving parenting tips. But they are nothing like these teaching skills that you'll be receiving tonight. I'm sure I'll learn a few things myself. So it is now my pleasure, of course, to introduce to you the president and founder of Uplift Families, our First Lady of Utah, Mrs. Herbert. Oh, I'm going to talk about her a little bit before she gets on here because we, of course, want to know more about her. So born in Preston, Idaho, Mrs. Herbert moved to Utah. The First Lady graduated from Springville High, and while attending husband of now 49 years, the First Lady graduated from Mr. Gary Herbert. And the two married. They settled into Orem, Utah. Mrs. Herbert then opened a commercial childcare preschool, the Kids Connection. That for 13 years, she also operated KC Kids Club, which was an hourly drop-in center. So throughout the years, the First Lady has always been an active member of her and has received many awards, including Businesswoman of the Year by the Provo Orem Chamber of Commerce, Women Making a Difference, and also Utah Women's Leadership Award, and of course, many more. Mrs. on the Governor's Mansion Foundation Board, the Leadership Alcohol-Free Foundation, and is an honorary chair of the Child Care Committee at the Utah Refugee Center. Still, her greatest accomplishment, of course, is being a wife, being a mother of 6, and a grandmother of 16. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the First Lady of Utah, Mrs. Herbert.
Thank you, Jade. Well, this is a beautiful sight. Able to look out there and see all of you out there, and it's been something we built on for 8 years now, and it's been incredible to see the growth and to see the people that are returned, that you come back every year, and all the new ones that are out there. Welcome, and I hope you enjoyed as much as the ones that have been here in the past. Our speakers this night are incredible. And so I'm going to keep mine short so we can give them more time. But they have some great information for you that I think, be sure and take copious notes. We've left pens on all the tables, and so you can actually take some notes. And also, all these will be recorded and replayed on our website. In his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Families. Quote, good families, even great families, are off track about 90% of the time. The key for successful families is that they have a destination. They know what the track looks like, that track time and time again. It's like the flight of an airplane. Before a plane takes off, the pilot has a flight plan that they look at. They know exactly where they're going, and they follow, according to the flight plan, exactly what path is going to take them to their destination. Now, along the way, a lot of things happen. You can have turbulence, you have wind, rain, air traffic, human traffic, well, human error, excuse me, human traffic. Okay, I'll get it together here. And other factors that can affect the flight. Okay, now we go. Anyway, it takes the plane and it moves it slightly in different directions, and so it's up and down. Somehow it makes it magically to its destination. Now, how does that happen? Well, basically during the flight, the pilot receives a lot of information, and they get this feedback that tells them what adjustments they need to make along the way. The flight is, I believe, the ideal metaphor for with regards to parenting are sometimes off target. Even if our family, the hope lies not in the deep, but in the vision, the plan, and the ability to get back on track, close quote. Just remember, there are no perfect families, and there are no perfect parents. Now, back in the 50s, we all remember the great show Leave It to Beaver. You know, we had the Cleavers, June and Ward, and their wonderful obedient children, Wally and the Beeve. Now, there's probably aren't any families. Yet, according to a recent article I read by psychologist Katie Hurley, her feeling was that, quote, did a better job of preparing their kids for the real world. Why? Days attempting to shield their children from the natural consequences of their actions. They didn't think it was such a terrible thing if their kids weren't the best at everything. After all, a little humility never hurt anyone. To shield our children from consequences, jump to the rescue and micromanage them, we rob them of the chance to build self-confidence from solving a problem on their own. We become for our kids. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be that mom emailing the college professor because my daughter failed her exam, close quote. One of the biggest challenges facing parents is knowing when to let go, learning when to allow the child to resolve his own conflict or without stepping in. And I know it's a natural instinct for all parents to want to rescue their kids when they see that they're going through a struggle. I remember teaching my first child to ride a bicycle. Whatever I was doing wasn't working. I kept running alongside of him and running and running and running and holding onto the bike and running, and he kept saying, "Don't let go, don't let go, don't let go." So I didn't. But then I realized that as long as I was holding on, he would never be able to learn to balance the bike on his own. I was so afraid of letting go because I was afraid he would fall and get hurt. Finally, I realized my initial support, and then I needed to give him the freedom to try it on his own. Yes, to my surprise, he got back on the bike. I can still remember how proud he was of achieving this goal and how much confidence he gained in his own abilities. This realization of the importance of letting go is what our children need to succeed. Our consistent efforts, though at times may seem futile, are actually brick by brick building a strong children to follow, to learn self-confidence, and to eventually get their destination. It does take a lot of patience, and sometimes it may take years to see the results of our efforts. Much like the story of the bamboo tree. Like any plant, growth of the Chinese bamboo tree requires nurturing, water, fertile soil, and sunshine. In the first year, we see no visible sign of growth at all. In the second year, again, happening. The third, still nothing. Our patience is tested, and we begin to wonder if all our efforts will ever be rewarded. But then finally, in the fifth year, behold, a miracle. Amazing growth. Chinese bamboo tree grows 80 feet in just 6 weeks. Now, you may think that the Chinese bamboo tree had maybe laid dormant for all that time and for the 4 years and just grew exponentially in the fifth year. But actually, unseen by the human eyes, the little tree was growing underground, developing a root system, strong enough to support its potential for outward growth in the fifth year and beyond. Had the tree strong unseen, it could not live its life as it grew. Work towards worthwhile dreams and goals for our children, helping them build strong character while overcoming adversity and challenge. Strong internal foundation that will eventually give them the ability to handle success, become resilient, and start dreaming of their own dreams in the future. But as with the bamboo tree, we must have to wait for significant growth. According to the author, Dennis West, the two best things we can give our kids are roots and wings. If I could give you just two things, the other wings. Roots not to tie you to the ground, but to guide you to where your fulfillment is found. The nourishing start, the firm foundation, the source of your inner determination. Wings to soar over obstacles, wings to fly free. Wings to glide to the heights of the best you can be, and when obstacles loom, from your roots grow a hand, providing a strong, sturdy, safe place to land. I choose these two things for the gifts that are best. For the roots, with roots and with wings, you'll find all the rest. An airplane pilot, before they're able to fly a plane, have to do a lot of studying and a lot of hours of practice. And it's so much the same in parenting. Our speakers this evening are here to help give you some of those information to help you develop a flight plan and instruction on how to raise responsible kids who will learn to navigate their own way through the turbulence of life. Kids that have roots they need to stay grounded and know where home is, and the wings to carry them to wherever they want to go and what's been taught them. Thank you again for coming tonight. I'm so glad you're here. And just remember, when parents lead, kids succeed. Thank you.
parents need patience. I'm trying to potty train a 3.5-year-old right now. Can we talk about patience? Isn't that the truth? All right. Well, our first speaker tonight, Brad Barton. Brad Barton is a world record-breaking NCAA All-American track athlete, recently setting masters track and field world and American records for the 1,500 meter, the 3,000 meter, the steeplechase. Brad is the oldest sub-4-minute, 20-second miller in history, prevention specialist and National Speaker Association chapter president. Brad is a nationally recognized speaker and author of the best-selling book Beyond Illusion. He is an SCC certified executive coach as well as a master magician. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Brad Barton.
Thank you, Jade.
Thank you.
Some challenges in my family of origin left me with the tendencies towards nitpickiness, perfectionism. Okay, quite a bit of nitpickiness and perfectionism. I was concerned about this, and when I started my family, I was concerned enough about this that I decided that I didn't want, we got some of my slides up. That's not my family. He's my brother, though. Love that man. He's good. Why don't you see if we can toss my So when I started my family, I had these tendencies, and I was a little concerned about it because I didn't want to bring those tendencies into the next generation. Can you imagine this? But try as I might, and I tried mightily. I just could not seem to break the habit of looking at the bad stuff in my family. My wife, bless her heart, she scolded me often for scolding my kids so often. And she was right. I needed to change. I needed to do something different. But I just didn't know why, or I didn't know how. The computer industry has a word they use. It's defaults. And I looked it up. Just computer defaults. Settings that a device automatically selects in a given scenario. Default. A standard configuration. Realizing I've got some defaults set incorrectly in my own parenting habits. I needed to create better life skills so that I could get along better with my kids. Dad. Now, the human brain is the fastest working, coolest running, most compact and efficient computer mechanism ever produced in large quantities by unskilled labor. As a dad, we've got this marvelous piece of hardware up here. We've also got software written over the top of it. We all have defaults. Many of you drove here tonight and maybe made 1,000, at least 100 life or death decisions. Didn't even think. Why? Because of the defaults. We've got lots of defaults to help our lives run. Defaults also for how we handle stress, conflict, how we handle disappointments. We just do. Folks, some of the most important defaults in our lives were created in our youth, and some of them aren't serving us well anymore. Folks, some of them never did. I was born at a very early age. Well, that's convenient. Yeah, I was raised, and my first taskmaster. We worked hard, and I got to elementary. Conceived notions about what I was capable of doing because of some of these tough experiences. I was very undersized, very immature for my age. I have some learning disabilities that created some defaults about what I was capable of as well. The teasing got worse in middle school, right? Step off the bus the first day in high school, brand new backpack on, new jeans. I'm in high school, and I weighed 82 pounds. I was having trouble at home. I was an academic failure. I did not like myself, folks. I was in trouble. And that's when I decided to be an athlete. All 4 foot nothing. And I went for the obvious sport, which was, it wasn't football. George Artemis. He says, Brad, if you want to change your story, and I badly wanted to change my story, then you got to change your story. That's golden. If you want to change your story, you got to change your stories. Are words that powerful? Could we change our story by the words that we speak? Let's give it a try right here. Help me out here. And I'm going to invite you all to participate unless you've done this before. So everybody else, here we go. Answer a very simple, you'll recognize this if you've played. Answer a very simple question lightning fast. What color is an orange? Okay, that was not lightning fast, folks. All together, here we go. What color is an orange? Did I mention these are easy questions? What color is an orange? That's what we're looking for, is a fast, speedy answer in unison, but first say the word white. All together, white. Louder, white. Let's say the word white 10, 12 times in a row. Let's get louder and faster as we go. And I'm done. I'm going to wait for just the briefest moment. Then I'm going to invite you to fire off the answer as fast as you can, lightning fast, in unison, unless you've heard this before and then you're out of the game. Okay, this is a great object lesson. You don't want to steal it from everybody else. And one person in this room could maybe do that. So don't play if you've played. Okay, all together, everybody else. White. Again, white. Louder, white, 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 white. What do cows drink? No. Rupert, Idaho. I was in Rupert, Idaho one night speaking to the Southern Idaho Dairymen's Association. I had 80 dairymen in the night yell out, cows drink milk. Because cows don't drink milk, they drink. Let's do one more. This time say the word joke. Together, joke. Spell it, J-O-K-E. Let's say the word joke. Joke, 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 joke. What do you call the white part of an egg? No, it's not the yolk. The yolk is the yellow part. No, time out. This is what we just did. Think about this. I just told you a one-word story, didn't I? I had you repeat that one story a few times, and then you're saying crazy. When life served you up a decision, you say crazy things like, milk. No, they don't. Little tiny baby calves do. Are words a little bit powerful or a lot of it powerful? Oh yeah, very powerful. Let me show you in a different way, a more subtle way, perhaps a more powerful way, the power of words. Now you need to get where you can see my eyes. I'm gonna mute this. You need to get where you can see my hand. We got to make sure we get this on the iMac for those that are got the wrong angles here. Watch right here. If you blink, you're gonna miss it, and don't quit freaking me out. Watch right here. I have in my hand a card. On one card, there is one dot. The other side, 4 dots. Once again in review. 3 on this side, 6 on that side. How many of you confused? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Think about what you just saw. Did you see 1 dot on the first side? Yes? That's because that's what I showed you. How about 4 dots on the next side? And then 3, and then 6, and back to 1 dot all over again? 1, 4, 3, 6. Count with me. 1, 4, 3, 6. Out loud. 1, 4, 3, 6. Louder. 1, 4, 3, 6. And back to 1 dot all over again. How many of you are still confused? Raise them up. Okay, the work one time, Mrs. Herbert. Would you like me to tell you how I do the trick? I do it with the power of my words. I said the word one, and you believed it. And then I showed you that. I said the number 3. Now check this. This is cosmic. I said the number 3. I told you a one-word story, and I repeated it. I said 3. You look up here and you see that, and we put it all together in 200 milliseconds. 1, 2, 3. I'm off to the next side, and you're left with the vision of seeing 3 black dots. Ladies, gentlemen, how many black dots did Magic Brad just show you? 1 dot and then 3 dots? Why, I showed you 1 dot, and then I showed you that. Are words a little bit powerful? Oh, absolutely. Let's say the word 3. Is it possible that we can create magic by our words? I would submit that we do. So back to my dilemma. Here I am trying to be a good father, but the nitpickiness just is a sticky little problem that won't seem to go away. And then years later, I'm at a seminar, and across the screen, this is what I saw. Make it a habit to catch people doing things right. And I looked at that and I thought, that's it. That's the answer. If I can't stop doing the wrong thing, maybe I can start doing more of the right things. With hope, determined to catch my kids doing things right. My oldest son, Jacob, was 6 years old, and I watched him, and I noticed him. A few days went by, and finally I caught him doing so. I don't remember what it was, but he was. And I said, Jacob, I just caught you. He's like, oh no, I caught you doing it right, buddy. High five, pal. And we high five. And that was it. That was maybe the biggest change I made in my personal parenting that made the biggest impact on the culture of our family. I just simply got in a habit of catching my kids doing things right. And there he was doing something else right, and something else, and something else, and something else. It became a game for us. We started lying in wait for each other. My kids catching me doing something right. The culture. Months later, I guess I'd fallen off on my commitment. I'm in the living room, and I heard a blood-curdling scream in the kitchen. Dad, get in here quick. I ran in, it was my and a mostly made peanut butter sandwich on a plate. He says, look, Dad, you just caught me, Dad. You just caught me doing it right, didn't you, Dad? High five, buddy. And I high-fived him, and I was back in business. Folks, it became a part of our family culture again, and I was able to get through some of that nitpickiness. I still have those tendencies. Here, keeping you from being the parent that you want to be. Maybe even some of you share one of mine. That made a huge difference when I stopped focusing on what my kids were doing wrong and started catching them doing things right. There is a word that is very ancient. Cadabra. It sounds vaudeville, but I looked this up, and I know what I'm going to tell you is true because I read it on the internet. Okay, I actually looked a little deeper. This seems to be the truth. Etymologists, I think I'm using that term right, have tried, and it's so ancient, they wonder if they will ever work it out. Abracadabra, their best guess is that it's ancient Aramaic. And if so, the sounds that make up that phrase might translate roughly to, I create as I speak. Or I create what? Folks, words cast spells. That's why they call it. Okay, now that's cute, right? But it's also amazing. What if we decided we're going to use the power of our words to reprogram our defaults and create some different defaults in our family culture? It works, folks. It works. Do you need to make a change in your culture? I was chopping wood one time with this happy little, there's my little Jacob man at 6 years old. I was chopping wood with this handsome little fella right here. And he was maybe 8 or 9 years old, about this age. And we had these great big pieces of wood that we were really struggling to get up onto our chopping block and begin to drive in the wedges. And we'd set several up there, and it was just a struggle with this little kid and this, dad. And the next one, I drove my axe handle deep, and I stuck it in, and I used that handle and just flipped it right up there on our chopping block, and give it a bit of a tug, and I was ready to drive in the next wedges. And I looked at this little Garrett, and he said, "Hey, Dad, you're pretty smart," which dads love to hear. And so I said, "The great Greek mathematician, a long enough lever, and I will move the world." And there was little Garrett, and I could tell he was impressed with all this. Maybe he says, "So, Dad, did they ever give that fellow a long enough lever?" I introduced to you. This is, I just told you a story about little Garrett, and this is my son Garrett right here. He's now 21. Would you stand, please, Garrett? This is Garrett. And he brought his particular friend, Abigail. Would you stand as well, Abigail? My son done grown up. Folks, every environment has social norms. Every family has some positive traits and some that need to be worked on. Folks, if you want to use the lever, a wonderful lever, try this one. What you say, you see more. What you say more of, you see more of. And it's possible that you and I can do some amazing things with the power of used to change out our defaults, to create more of a habit of change our families. We can change our relationships. Folks, it can change ourselves. It can change ourselves. Let's try a little experiment. Put your hands out like this. Okay, thank you. Palms out. Palms out. List, and then just knit your fingers together. Great. Now lift your hands a little higher, and then turn your thumbs up. Again, it's not my left, it's your left over right. Let's try it like this. Left over right, knit your fingers together, just lift your hands, and then turn your thumbs slowly up. Even Gary had a little trouble with this one right here. Let's try it again. I'm not going to leave you hanging this time. Left over right, knit your fingers together. If this, right here, if this represents all the minutia, the details, the games just this morning that my family had, if that all represents those important details, watch this. Let's not forget to look at the big picture. Watch. Lift your hands a little high. Yeah, here you go. Good job. Lift your hands a little higher, and we can get free from being in our programming that just wasn't working for us. Give yourselves a hand. Look at the big picture. Keep your eye on the prize. Guys, because these little kiddos, they're not going to be around. They just aren't. Take it from a dad whose oldest is now 27. I've got 4 of my 6 out of the home now. And it's just a brief time. It's just a brief time. Let's remember the power of positive perception. We can use this in other areas of life. Just really quick. Catching people doing things right. My coach used this idea to take this from Idaho with some issues and create a success in college. And then years and years later, we came back to track and decided we're going to work together again. My old retired college coach, Olympic coach, and go to see if we can break some world records. And we broke one, and then we broke another one, and then some discouragement and some doubt and some failure in 3 years of broken toes and broken foot and hand injury and ripped quad. 3 years trying to get to the starting line again to try and break a master's 50-year-old record. And failure after failure after failure, my coach used the power of positive perception to say, Brad, here's the story. Here's where we're headed. I caught you doing it right. You didn't power of positive perception. And we went and worked hard for years and years and years. And then we went and did been done. Let's all remember to use this wonderful power of positive perception. Let's decide that we're going to change the things that we need to change, and using the power of our words, well, just go do some wonderful things with our family as well. Be part of this. What a pleasure. Thank you.
I was hoping we'd see some magic, and we did. That was great. Our next speaker, David Osmond. David has show business in his genealogy as a part of the world-famous Osmond family. Host of the 46th Annual Daytime Emmy Awards, David is a multi-talented entertainer, recording artist, actor, producer, and motivational speaker. David the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat with multiple Broadway companies. The Emmy-nominated new host of Wonderama, David is a popular speaker and advocate for MS awareness, and has a debut big band album coming this fall called the Osmond Chapman Orchestra. Let's welcome to the stage, David Osmond.
Thank you, Jade. What's up, guys? How you doing? Yeah, feeling good? Say yeah. Feeling really good, Nathan. Say oh yeah. Okay, Nathan, just you. Say oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh. I knew it. New Kids on the Block fans everywhere. Music's powerful. Music is what feelings sound like. And I am so grateful to have grown up in a very large. I was born in Utah and I grew up every other place. I grew up on the road. Back here in the great state of Utah. We live in a place, don't we? Pretty awesome. Everybody from Utah? You know, these guys are, but I don't think you're old enough to know who the Osmonds are, right? I thought so. Well, I get asked two questions almost every single day of my life. And because I travel so much, usually it comes from people at TSA. And I give my ID. And the inevitable question starts. The first one. Are you one of the Osmonds? And I shouldn't do this because it's TSA, but I kind of play stupid. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, well, you know what I mean, like Donnie and Marie. And then I double down on what that is and say, well, who's that? And I swear to you, one of the last times I had security, I had this TSA agent singing Puppy Love to everybody. And it was awesome. And then, of course, they kind of go, oh, okay, all right, I see the connection. They're like, so who's your daddy? Question. And this is my dad. His name this front row. Give up my big, dear old dad, Alan Osmond. Many of you know him, many of you are friends with him, and he's an amazing guy. He looks more like this now. But I've learned a tremendous amount growing up in the environment of this musical family. Every kid's dad has a travels around, sings songs, and this is totally normal. And when you realize, as you get older, that this is a humbling thing, very grateful, so appreciative for what they were able to accomplish as a family. But not just the success of show business, not the 100 million records that they sold as a family together, but it's who they were as people, their foundation. And it started right at the top with my grandparents, George and Olive Osmond, and this is the hierarchy of things. God first, then family, and then it's show business. And I appreciate that so much because that was always the case. And they lived their lives that way, and I'm so grateful for that fact alone. I thought every kid's dad was on the cover of teen magazines. This is not normal. But they also had some sweet threads. You know, you can't negate that. It was really cool growing up in this environment of music always around me. And believe this or not, 62 years of performing. Ever since that little barbershop quartet out of Ogden, Utah, kind of took the scene. And I fell into the family business. I host a kids' TV show in New York, across the country. I was able to be it's just awesome. Grateful for the power of music and see how it affects people's lives. This phrase was something that the Osmonds had as kids and is carried on into our family. Superior or petimus. Latin, for we seek higher things. That was the motto. And for this conference, for Uplift Families, I felt that was very pertinent. It's one of the first things I thought of when they asked if I would come and say a few words. And trust me, tonight, I'm just grateful to be the fly on the wall. I feel I'm going to guard just being here back. So I'm truly honored by this opportunity. Thank you, Mrs. Herbert, for this invitation. This little group out of Ogden, Utah, or got to know them from the Andy Williams shows. It was actually another guy that gave them their first job right before Andy Williams, and it's Walt Disney. And I was thinking about Walt Disney because of a comment he made and a quote that pertains to my thoughts tonight, and it's this. Sounds a little harsh, but you may not realize it when it happens to you. A kick in the teeth might be the best thing in the world for you. Now, that doesn't sound like the Disney I'd think I'd hear, but I happen to this. It sounds harsh, but I believe in that. I grew up in a large family, all boys, one of 8 boys, no girls. And the follow-up to that is, oh, your poor mom. And she happens to be here as well, my lovely mom, Suzanne Osmond, right here. She's the producer of the show, and she, along with my father, are a powerhouse, and 45 years married together. Is that right? This last July. And that's something we don't celebrate enough, that's for sure. Commended. But we have a great time. Never a dull moment in this household growing up. Very musical. And watching his example. Because I used to watch him from the sides, from the audience. I'd see him rocking out, playing guitar, playing trumpet, everything. I mean, amazing. In fact, my mom told me when they got married, she'd never seen him perform ever. And the night they got married, he did a show in Vegas, and she's sitting in the back going, I didn't know he could play the trumpet. This is crazy. But I watched my dad do all these cool things. But there came a time, and many of you know this story about my dad. There came a time when he to drop his mic, started to trip a little bit, couldn't play his trumpet. And ultimately, with this thing called MS, multiple sclerosis. And I remember my dad saying years ago, the first time he heard the word MS, his first thought was, well, what is that? Many sons? Neurological disorder, an autoimmune disease of the central nervous system. Your body attacks itself, fighting yourself. It attacks your brain, specifically the myelin sheath, causing sclerosis. MS literally means many scars. So you get scarring all over your brain, throughout your... Ultimately, for everybody, symptoms are different, but it stops you from moving. Whether it's pain everywhere or just... Dad was diagnosed with this, but from the day I was a little boy, and he sat us all down, and he said, you know what, guys? But MS does not have me. Wow, what a way to live your life. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that cool? But it's not a bumper sticker. He lives his life that way. What a gift to have a dad like that. I learned from his example and so many others as I've grown up that pain is inevitable, but suffering is truly optional. And that's what I want to focus my comments on tonight. We all have stuff. Pain comes to us in so many different forms. Maybe it's MS, maybe it's cancer, maybe it's diabetes, maybe it's financial problems, maybe it's addiction, maybe it's depression. These are very real challenges, and we've all got our own stories. We all come from our own families. We're all fighting a good fight. And I'm so grateful for the examples in my life for so many reasons. Because life is tough. This rock is outside my parents' house. My dad writes in acronyms. Life is tough. But so are you. So you be tough right back. T, if you got a problem in your life, whatever it is, any of those challenges aforementioned and more, you have to target it. You have to see it. You have to know it's in front of you. You have to recognize whatever that is in your life. And then read up on it, study about it, pray about it, meditate on it. Try to understand that problem. We can. And focus. Don't get distracted because life is so full of distractions. And today, more than ever before. Keep your eyes single to the goals that you have. And the last F, and I think the most important of all, fight. You keep fighting. And don't you give up. Because if you're tough, man, you can accomplish so many things, more things than you can even imagine. Again, having a dad like this is so cool because he walks the walk. I'd rather see a sermon than hear one any day. And I stand on the shoulders of giants, of so many countless people who go. We learn about our heritage, of the families we come from. Generation, and I got the bar set pretty darn high, and I hope to do my best throughout my life. My wife and I said, "Did you hear that? They called me an expert in parenting." I got to write that down. I got a long way to go, so I'm grateful just to be here tonight to learn everyone here, because we're all for sure. Meant more when I was like that. If you don't believe in miracles, you have to believe in one tonight. Because I've been singing my whole life. I've been on Broadway shows, television. And then there came a day years ago when very quickly, after a show that I did on Christmas Eve, 2005, I turned to my then girlfriend, who is now my wife. But while we were dating, I took my shoes off and it was late. And I remember turning to her and I said, "Valerie, my feet, they feel like they're being crushed by a steamroller." And it was just the most excruciating pain in my feet. And it wouldn't go away, and I'm in mid-20s, I'm like, invincible. It'll go away. I'm fine. I didn't get much sleep, I'm good. Stubborn, right? Fast forward a few months, the pain is all the way to my chest. And then I start tripping and falling, and I can't do anything for myself. And ultimately, this. And who I met in the soulmate thing, and I had a friend, Las Vegas, Nevada, who I met. Amazing. She's a miracle in my life. And even trying to perform from my wheelchair was. I was stubborn, thinking I can overcome this. I'm fine. Don't even worry about it. I was trying to, out of sight, out of mind. Unbelievable. And when I proposed from my wheelchair to my wife, and she says yes, in sickness and health, I knew that miracles happened every single day. And a very smart guy said once that I read, you can live your life in two ways. One is if nothing is a miracle, or you is a miracle. And I know the latter is true. Since our wedding day, I've been back on my feet, and I've been walking miraculously. And on paper, doctors are blown away. They don't know how. And even though I have MS today, and I still have it, and that pain does not have me. I know it doesn't. And I look at my children, and I think, man, they're going to have some stuff. They're absolutely going to have some stuff. It's required of me as a parent to be an expert and set that bar for them, because, man, what a gift it was for me. I got to pay that forward. But what a miracle since the day we were married. It's incredible. It was a miracle in my mind. And it's kind of crazy to even think about. It was a whirlwind. But it sounds nuts and crazy. Having MS is one of the best things that's ever happened in my life. It's insane. And I'll explain why. Because there's a few things that I believe. First is a quote from one of my favorite authors of all time. The guy's name is Dr. Seuss. He said, "I've heard there are troubles of more than one kind. Some come from ahead, and some come from behind. But I've bought a big bat, and I'm ready, you see. And now my troubles, they're going to have troubles with me." I love that. I love just the visual of that, to have a weapon to fight back. And I know that one of those biggest weapons that we have is our family. Is as the guardianships of our to help them fight their battles. And that's a huge responsibility. If you're a Bill and Ted's fan, this guy's name is Socrates. He said something really. If all the misfortunes in the world were laid in one common heap, whence everyone must take an equal. And he said something. Most people would be contented to take their own and depart. Man, having just there for about a year and coming up to a door and having see people just ignore you, it opens your eyes very quickly to the world around you. And I meet people every single day now that I could never imagine in places with. And I also don't take a single step for granted in my life. Walking up these stairs is awesome. I drove a car over here today. It changes your life, and you realize quickly that you're going through hard times. And maybe there's somebody in this room going through a very difficult time. You know, we're in the same. I wear this ring on my finger. My brother came up with this acronym, and it's a scriptural reference that means endure to the end. Had this before I had MS, and I still wear it today as a reminder, a little nudge, endure to the end. And I'll be honest, sometimes and some days, I don't like to look at that because it's just like, the end. It's a long way away, right? And a friend of mine changed it for me, and I try to live it this way. Endure to the end. But I got tomorrow. If I can just get through this. Just get through this. People don't get ahead in life because they aim way too high with their goals, and they miss them by a mile. It's not that. It's because they aim too low, and they actually hit their goals. I know, as my wife and I talk about our family, the goals that we try to set, and again, we make our mistakes, we learn. I certainly do. Mistakes. But we set our goals, and even if we miss some things, change happens every single day. And I promise you, if you're going through a very difficult time in life, it's going to change. Things ebb and they flow. The yin with the yang, it does evolve. Maybe not the way you want it to, but it does change. And the same rule applies where if you're going through the best time, life couldn't be better. The rule applies, unfortunately. Change does happen. And if you're prepared for it and you recognize it, it helps you just a little bit more to travel through that battle. Tests, they come to all of us. Struggles, trials, hurdles, whatever you want to call it. But if you choose so, and it is a choice, these trials, these tests truly become part of our testimony. That rock foundation of this is what I know to be true in my life. This is what I have to hold on to that gives me hope. We are not just physical beings. Spiritual experience. I truly believe that we are beings, and we're having a very physical experience, and this is around the globe. You know, it is a choice. Whenever you come upon something, I was talking to my dad right before this. We all come across circumstances in our lives, and every time you come the one direction of who you can, which always brings you the more happiness, the more joy, the more good. Seek higher things. This last thing is, I think, the most important thing I've learned in my life. And it's this. Years ago, when I was in my wheelchair, my wife and I were dating. I remember sitting in my chair with the pain excruciating, and I couldn't move. And I was watching across the room at my younger brother, who was with his 2-year-old, and they were wrestling. And I was just a hallmark moment for me. I was just the proud uncle. I was watching this. It was a cute thing, right? Intrinsically, it was just a smile. But something changed up here very quickly. And as I was watching this, I got bitter, and I got angry, and I got so mad at what I was watching, like it was mocking me. And I thought to myself, this powerful thought, why? I don't think I'm ever going to have that. That burned more than anything. Why did this happen to me? This is a powerful question. And maybe we ask it. And I actually hope you do. I really hope you ask this question. Because I've learned this question. I'm not unless I make sure I ask the same question for every single moment of happiness and joy that comes into my life, both great and as I do that and I start to analyze, my cup is overflowing. It's not just half full. Why did this happen? For 12 years. And she is the miracle in my life and my rock, and such an incredible person. I'm so honored to be her helpmate, to be her husband, to be with her along the journey of parenting our children. And if we're going to invest in anything in our lives, it's going to be our children. To learn from all of you, to learn from those that have the same desire to make a difference in the next generation. This is my why. This is how I can accomplish anything that may come in my life. Is the fundamental unit that helps us, that builds ourselves, that builds our character, our strength. The hard things, the weaknesses we have, are designed to make us humble. And that's a hard thing. But as the scripture says, the weak things and the humility is what makes us strong. We have our weaknesses to give us the strength. I know that's a hard pill to swallow sometimes, but it is a fact. And if you're going through a hard time, hang alone in this. This is my family and our 3 children. Saffron is our 10-year-old. Azalea is our 8-year-old. And Everest, who's the equivalent of 5 kids, he's our 4-year-old. And we are so beyond blessed. This is my why. And I am blessed to be the bottom of the totem pole with this family. As one thinketh, so is he. The power of thought. We heard that from Brad. The power of thought is huge. And I learned something from another mentor of mine who's passed on, and it's my grandpa, George Osmond. He was a tough guy. This is my grandpa. He was a drill sergeant in the Army, a master sergeant during World War II. And he had 8 boys and 1 girl. Marie was the only girl. She had her own bedroom. But he raised them to be tough. And I remember as a kid, his hands on my shoulders, and he'd say, you know what, David? You're going to go through some stuff in this life. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. But I promise you, kid, I promise you one thing. You can do it. And I think that's the drill sergeant coming out of him. You can do it. So don't you ever give up. So, since I'm a music guy, is it okay if I sing a song for you? All right. I wrote a song, and thinking about what can I write about to inspire and help people through the experiences maybe I'm living right now. This is one card that I've been dealt. Thing. Hey, to someone else who might be going through a similar challenge or something very close to that. And this is the song I wrote. I hope you enjoy it. It's called I Can Do This. I've rehearsed 1,000 times. I played it all out in my mind. Oh, now it's time to go. Time to give the world the show that I've been dreaming all my life. The time has come, I'm gonna give myself a chance. This time I'm getting off the fence. It's over, yeah, it's my life. You see, going through this takes every part of me. What I'm feeling down inside is like a roller coaster ride. But it's true, yes, I can do this. Now we're in a show barn. If you want to put your hands together, this is your party. Here we go, ready? I am the captain of my soul. Only I can make me whole. Ooh, if nothing ever changes, everything will be the same. So I will change and I will grow. The day has come, I'm gonna give myself a chance. Yeah. This time I'm getting off the wait is over, yeah, it's my life. This is my life. I can do this. Just stick around, you'll see. Going through this takes every part of me. Wanna feel it down inside. It's like a roller coaster ride, but it's true, yes. Oh, I can do this. Where there's a spark, there's a flame. Yeah, where there's a flame, there will be fire. And when this fire starts, I'm gonna let it burn and burn and burn and burn. I can do this. Just stick around, you'll see. Going through this part of me, wanna feel it down inside. It's like a roller coaster ride, but it's true, yes. I can do this. I want the world to see. I can do this. Look what I have done with me. I'll keep my hands up high on this roller coaster ride, 'cause it's true, yes. Oh, I can do this. I can do this. Last one, here we go. One. I can do this. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. Man, let's go on the road together. You guys are good. Last thought I want to leave with you is this, and this is something I saw on my wall growing up as a kid. It's a poem, and this is how it goes. If you think you're beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you'd like to win but think you can't, it's almost a cinch that you won't. If you think you'll lose, you've lost. For out in the world we find success begins with a fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind. If you think you're outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win a prize. For life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man. But sooner or later, the man who wins is the one who thinks he can. Thank you guys so much. God bless you. Stay strong. It's not the trials that get us down. It's the lack of hope. Thank you so much. God bless you.
All right, Clay Olsen. Clay Olsen is a filmmaker, a producer, a marketer, a public speaker, an author, and a social entrepreneur. In 2001, he co-founded Fight the New Drug. He's been featured on ABC Nightline, ABC News, Time Magazine, The New York Times, CNN, USA Today, The Dr. Drew Show, and many more. Clay has spoken to hundreds of thousands all over the United Nations, the World Congress on Families, and the Set Free Global Summit. In 2013, Clay founded an online called Fortify. It has over 200,000 users in over 150 countries around the world. Please welcome to the stage, Clay Olsen.
Hey everybody, so grateful to be here with you. Thank you so much to Mrs. Herbert for inviting me into this wonderful organization. I'm just glad to be here. So, what do you want to talk about? Not porn, right? I get it. No, I totally get it. It's a tough topic at times, but it doesn't change the fact that we need to discuss it. And a man came up to me after the presentation, and he just said, "Can I tell you my story?" And that happens from time to time. I said, "Yeah, sure." And he said, "You know, I really appreciate the message. This is something that I've been." It all started when I turned 12 and my mother came into my bedroom with a box of pornography magazines and dropped it on the bed and then walked out. What? I mean, how many of you men in the room, when you turned 16, your mother came into your bedroom and gave you a box of magazines? Okay, so nobody here. How many of you mothers, 16, you walked into their rooms and gave, okay, nobody. Okay, that's so good to hear. This is an extreme example, one of those extreme cases that you're like, I'm glad that's not happening to every 16-year-old, because if that were the case, that could lead to a lot of challenging realities, right? But I've seen that, I kind of thought, well, isn't it interesting? Because this was years ago that this individual, this was an older, essentially that very experience is happening to every young child, virtually every young child, except it's not at 16. It's much younger. It's not a box of 100 magazines. It's unlimited. And it's not simply advanced or worse for our children today. And so this is happening, and I'm like, oh my goodness, we have kind of moved into a new topic. I have parents sometimes say, why are we was around when I was a kid? And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's like comparing a baby kitten to a saber-toothed tiger. With say, why are we talking very different worlds when we're talking about what once was and what is today? In 2008, 14% of young boys ages 12 or younger had been exposed to pornography. In 2016, that number jumped to nearly 50%, and in 2019, just over a decade from that, that jumps nearly. For young girls, that went from 8% in 2008 to over 30%. We experience this information in the way that it's being distributed. It's shifting. How is this happening? And it really comes down to these 4 A's. It's more accessible than any other time in human history. It's more affordable, meaning free. Many of these sites provide free content for young people. It's anonymous, and it's addictive. And we'll come back to that word, but the idea that this can lead to compulsive or habitual patterns in one's life. These 4 A's are kind of contributing to the tidal wave of challenge that we have on this topic today. Now, when we at Fight the New Drug, we get hundreds of thousands of messages from people all over the world. We've received hundreds of thousands and on up. And here's one young girl that says that a message that we received saying, my parents don't know they don't know how bad it really is. They think that porn is just naked people. Today, porn is much worse. A young boy wrote in saying that 15-year-old boy said, I'm 15. I started watching porn at the age of 12. I remember the first time I watched it, I was stunned. I was sad for what was happening to the girl. She was screaming. Now it seems as if I have no sympathy. That is the stuff that gets me in the mood. Porn has already done its damage and continues to do so. I feel like I can't break it free. This is happening to young people at younger ages. And if we had time, we'd dive in to the research and what's happening and why this is harmful, how it's impacting us neurologically, our brains, how it's impacting our hearts or our ability to connect and love, our relationships, or how it's impacting our overarching society. But we're not going to talk about those details today. But if you do want to better understand the research and better understand the potential risks of pornography, from even a resource that you can even involve your children to understand this. We worked for years developing a 3-part documentary series where you can watch 3 episodes with accompanying discussion guides on each of these pillars of harm with your children. And so go to Brain Heart World for free and watch those resources. But aside from that, what do we do now as parents? What do we do? Okay, things are a lot worse. Okay, this is a much more challenging issue today, and our youth are being exposed. What do? Well, I have a family. I have a beautiful little family. My wife, Jen, we have actually 3 beautiful daughters. My whole life is up on that screen. If I can just take a second, I just want to point out the fact that it is incredibly challenging to have 3 children, each with different color of hair. And I worked hard to make that happen. Thank you. One of my greatest accomplishments. I was taking seminars, reading books. No. Okay, so my kids are everything to me, and I think about the world that they are now living in, and the world that they are inheriting, right? Because we are given a world built on the decisions. And so what decisions are we making, and what world are we handing off? I think about that as a parent. Previous generation. So I want to talk about what we can do on this topic. And I guess we could start by just saying, why? Why do kids turn to this? Why do you think reasons of escapism and coping, but what's why kids turn to pornography? Does anyone know? What's that? Curiosity. Number one reason is because they're curious. We live in a world much more sexualized than it's ever been, and therefore information is around us much more than it has ever been. And therefore, they're like, what is that? What's going on? Not to mention the fact that they're being targeted, but nonetheless, this is why they're turning to pornography, is because they're curious. Then we think, okay, so what can we do as a parent? They're not being educated in details. We need to start with teaching our kids what it is, teaching them about the good before the bad, teaching about the body and how wonderful it is, and talking to them about this so that they can understand it, so that you can be the point of contact when it comes to these issues, rather than turning to who? The industry. Because you're not going to like what they learn. And so another aspect that we need to talk about is emotional resiliency, helping them cope with the stresses of today, because many of them find outlets, vices to turn to kind of numb out. They turn to what they can access. And when you talk about pornography, the most accessible vice, the most anonymous, that is something that is a very popular thing to turn to for young people. We need to teach them avoidance strategies. When I say, what do you do when you are caught on fire? No one has ever had that experience, but you know what to do. Stop, drop, and you know exactly what to do when it comes up. Okay, so do your kids know what to do when they see pornography? Do they have that ingrained in their mind as far as like what the protocol is? Not a lot of kids do. What to do? They just are shocked, they're stunned, they're not sure what they're experiencing at that moment. And so they know it's probably not right, so they hold on to it, they don't talk about it, and then over time, that by the time it comes to your awareness, things have evolved down a road that's a lot more difficult to address. So we need to teach them avoidance strategies. Call it out by name. That's pornography. Shut it down. Like, if they can kind of get to the point where they understand the protocol, the instances, and then take accountability. Notice how this is kind of built around layers. The more we can do as parents in our home, the more resilient or the more safeguarded our kids are going to be on this subject. And I want to talk about prevention for a little bit, because the number one thing you can do as parents, which has been repeatedly discovered in studies time and time again, the number one thing you can do as parents to help your kids avoid risky online behavior, doing pornography, is what? Strong bond, a relationship, your strong bond, a parent bond. This study recently confirmed more of this, saying that a strong parent-child attachment was highly associated with teens avoiding risky online behavior. Teens who reported strong relationships with their parents were less likely to experience pornography or participating in sexting. So that's the number one thing, and that's something that we are constantly working toward. Because as their relationship is strong and they feel comfortable and safe with you, they're going to turn to you for support and help and questions rather than you. So that bond is number one. Number two, establishing rules and guidelines. I had a young kid come up to me after a presentation. We were talking, and he said, it's kind of funny because if it's not said in my home, I'm like, okay, so clearly we need to be talking about this, and so that we can clearly set boundaries and expectations. A lot of kids don't have them. You think it's intuitive. You think, they know, but they may not. So establish them. Like kind of like what the expectations and what the guidelines are in the home, or whether you do something on your own, whatever it is, say it. Engage in that way. Number three here is that monitor behavior. Now, I'm not talking about what you would probably expect that I'm expecting. A lot of you expect, a list of technology, which are great and they should be referring to. More specific is the check-in, the communication that you have with your child and how important that is. Providing feedback, giving them feedback as to, praising them for the efforts that they're making, but also too, as boundaries and regulations are lapsed or stepped out of bounds, that consequences, that you instigate those consequences in the home and help them understand those. A lot of people want to know the answer. When should I talk about it? How and what should I say? So let parents, when should I talk about it? What do you think? When? When? Now? Yesterday? Okay. The reality is it's sooner than you think. If the child is accessing the internet online by themselves, conversations should ensue, right? Conversations should be a part of that or precede that. And it's not just one conversation. It's not just a single conversation. This is an conversation. Like, your parents sat you about, sex and other types of things like that. A single conversation. Raise your hand if you had that talk. Raise your hand if you never actually had that talk. That never came up. Oh my goodness, like 50% or more. I actually have a different presentation for you guys. Can you cue guys? No, just kidding. Right? No, the point is like that's crazy. We no longer have the luxury of sitting on the sideline. No. Not today. We must be involved. In fact, we must be proactively in conversations and helping them understand their bodies, and the natural. I was doing a presentation up in Idaho, and there was a young presentations to be age appropriate, and she comes up running after the presentation, and she said, and she's a sixth grader. She's so petite and innocent, everything that you would expect. And she comes up and she says, "Thank you so much for your presentation. I've been struggling with this for a long time. I don't know where to turn." And I was shocked. I thought, oh my goodness, we have no clue the scope of this issue and how young this is impacting our young people. How do I bring it up? Well, first of all, let's go through that. First of all, stay calm and breathe, okay? You can do this. Let's all breathe together, right? This is something that you can do, and the more kind of action approach you have to this subject, the more difficult it will be. So calm down. Some parents, get really riled up. Calm down and breathe, and make sure that you're prepared, that you're educated, because you want to be the primary source that information. You want them to turn to you and not the internet. And there's a number of organizations you can turn to get some information, to download and be more informed so that you can have more effective conversations with your youth. I'm going to skip. If you want those organizations, you can come up after and we can talk about it. Choose the comfortable and appropriate. Create an open dialogue. This is not a lecture. This is not a that you kind of gear up for and say, okay, shut up for the next 10 minutes, hour, and I'm going to go through this. No, this is an open communication where you are hearing them and they are hearing you. Make it one-on-one. I'm all about the family discussions around different challenges that you face, but this ought to be one-on-one with them so they can be open and feel comfortable. Make it natural. I cannot stress this one enough. When my parents spoke to me, and it was a one-time event, it was very much kind of like this big event, popcorn, slideshow, like videos, multiple series. And it was like all the other kids were off to the, out, and it was just us. And my parents were, watching the screen. I'm like in the corner, like, drooling out of the corner, going, get me out of here. And they're like, what happens? It was just awful. And the challenge here is the fact that, like, after that event, this massive event, I couldn't get back to it. And so if I had a question, I was like, well, I better wait to the next massive event, which never happened. So make these conversations natural. Easy. Like if you're driving down the freeway and you see a billboard appropriate, fully, don't draw attention to it, but if you know that your child saw that, use it. Say, hey, how do you make what do you think how does that represent women? Is that respectful? Is that appropriate? What do you think? And let them digest that. Let them kind of start to navigate what is healthy and what is unhealthy. And that will be such a leg up as they navigate their years. And of course, be supportive. No matter what, love them. Love them. They're quickly go through some things because I'm running out of time. I want to go through some details around what not to do. I want to share this quote real quick, though. This young boy said that the most important thing that got me through my addiction was my parents. Parents out there wouldn't have. They made sure I knew that they weren't angry with me. They told the extreme dangers of pornography, and they would be there to help me at any time, no matter what. You have so much power and to help them through this challenging time in their lives, whether they're struggling with this or you're preventing them or helping them prevent themselves from that. What not to do? Don't assume that your child has an addiction. I talk to parents sometimes and they're like, my kid's seen it 3 times, he's an addict. I'm like, ooh. The term addiction really frequently in our society, in our culture. And we tend to think of it like an on-off switch, like you have it or you don't. And where's that addiction? We ought to be thinking of it more like a dimmer switch. It's actually more, and you might be on on the spectrum of struggle from habitual compulsion to addiction. But words, as we learned, have a lot of power. And we need to make sure that we're not using a term that maybe doesn't apply to specifically to young kids. So be careful. Don't assume that they have an addiction, number 1. 2, don't shame them. Avoid shaming. It does not help. I promise you that they are carrying with them as we coming into us at Fight the Drug, we hear the shame that they feel. It's enormous. They feel that they're a monster, that they're broken. And if you pile onto that, it makes it so much worse. You need to respond with love and support and understanding and help them, get out of that. Don't blame yourself if they struggle. I wish I could spend more time on this one, but don't blame yourself. They're living in a world that's pushing them from behind with enormous force to struggle with this. When I hear about a teen that graduates high school that has never struggled with this, I'm like shocked. I'm like, what? The reality is it's more of like not if, but when and to what degree. So again, what not to do. Last, I want to talk about what we should say. So first, ask questions and listen. Don't say much. Listen, hear them. What do they understand? What don't they understand? So they get your responses. Teach them the good before the bad. Help them understand that sex isn't terrible and that our bodies are not shameful. That these are wonderful and beautiful things in the right. Number 3, share your family values. Support it with science. Most parents skip this one. They kind of said, this is what we believe. But the children are figuring themselves out. So support it with science. And the good news is that there's a lot of science today to support values. And number 5, repeat. Themselves out and they're figuring out what. This is an ongoing, layered conversation that starts to think and on into their adulthood. If you want more guidance on this, there's a website you can go to, ftnd.org/blueprint, to kind of help you navigate conversations with your youth or navigate conversations with peers or friends. If somebody... This is a free resource for young people, and they can get the tools and resources and support and information that they need to help them overcome this challenge, as many hundreds of thousands have up to this point. So be aware of that resource as well. Now, I want to conclude with just a kind of a reminder of these things. First, number 1, love them. Build a foundation of trust and compassion and understanding. Number 2, get involved. Do not sit on the sidelines. Even though you don't know how, you feel like this is just too difficult, or you figure somebody else is going to inform them or educate them, you, as a parent, are involved on this subject. Number 3, create boundaries and establish guidelines. Number 4, check in regularly. Talk to them. Discuss this. Be vulnerable with them. Talk about how you're not the image of perfection, that you understand, you sympathize with their challenge, whether it's because of something that you experience, or it's because you understand the world that they're living in. And number 5 is give feedback. Love and support them through their challenges. Praise them for their efforts. And I can be daunting, but in just conclusion, I want to read one of my favorite quotes of all time by I cannot do everything, but I can do something, and I will not let what I cannot do interfere with what I can do. And parents, you do a lot. So I implore you to get engaged, to support your children, and to love them as they navigate this challenge. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Next to the stage tonight, Jessie Funk, a 6-time published author and executive director and founder of Ivy Ranch. Jessie holds leadership certifications from Notre Dame University, a bachelor's degree in psychology, a master's degree in theater. She has presented to more than 1 million teams. Professional vocal albums, has toured in 36 states with Broadway musical Footloose, and has been a studio vocalist for hundreds of projects. Please help me welcome to the stage Jessie Funk.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh. Hi, I'm so excited to hang out with you guys. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. Governor, thank you so much for letting me be part of tonight. I'm so excited to talk about something that I deeply, deeply care about. What I want to start off and just say, I love being a mother. I love being a mother. Kid grief. I cry watching a Hallmark commercial. I don't apologize for it anymore. Anyway, my baby, Jeanette and Jackson, they're right there. My daughter is 14 and my son is 10, and I love being their mother. Anyway, my babies are here. When Jeanette was a little baby, she was the easiest child you could ever imagine. She started sleeping through the night by herself at 2 months, and I am not exaggerating. My husband is here, he can vouch for that. Time we'd go to the store, people would be like, oh my gosh, what a sweet, beautiful baby. How did you get her to just be so wonderful? And I was like, oh, I'm gifted. And I remember thinking, I am good at this. I am so good at being a mother. Like, it's totally all me. So God, in his infinite wisdom, sent me Jackson. I tell this story with his permission. My sweet, beautiful boy, he is charismatic. He's confident. He's a natural leader. He's so imaginative. And I'm just obsessed with my son. a good boy. But when he was little, he was so challenging. And I just remember thinking, okay, all right, I get this. He exists to teach me that I don't control anything. I do not control anything. He exists to humble me and to teach me that I don't get to force them in a little box of what I think they should do or who I think they should be. That's not my job. That's not my job. I get it. My sweet boy taught me that. And he taught me in how to throw a toy car at his head. And so I had to say, no, not gonna happen. And this is like to describe my little boy when he was 3. This was when he was 3. He just slowly turned and looked at me. Something I genuinely believe is a gift. I just believe it so firmly. I'm not perfect at it. My family is here. One of us can always be striving for. We can be imperfectly perfect parents and make sure that we are keeping boundaries for our kids. And when we hold boundaries for our children, what happens is they feel safe. They feel loved, they feel cared about, they realize that there are them and we see greatness in them. That's the gift of boundaries. And kids won't admit that, and like it's an unconscious thing. They realize that there are expectations, that that's what's happening, but that is absolutely truth. When we facilitate boundaries, we're giving them the gift of feeling safe, of feeling secure, and we are beautiful expectations. And I want to tell you my story of why I care about this personally so much. And I truly believe why boundaries were the thing that saved me, changed my life, and took me from where I was as a teenager, which was kind of in a really dark, bad place. That's why I love teenagers so much. That's why I've dedicated my life to working with teenagers, because I had a very hard time being one. So I went from this place, and because of the gift of boundaries, I was able to figure it out. I was able to change and heal and get better. And so I truly, genuinely believe that boundaries are a gift. So I'm going to take you back. Okay, I want you all to remember what it's like to be in junior high school. Like, remember how intimidating those hallways were. Remember how small you felt. Remember how you go from elementary school, and you're in this ginormous school, and you just feel intimidated. You feel nervous. You feel uncomfortable. Just go there with me for a second, okay? So I was in school, Centennial Middle School in Provo, and because of where I lived, I had to go to that new school that was just built, and all of my friends went to a different school. So I knew nobody. I was feeling so nervous, so insecure, just ready to cry my eyes out. It was the first day of junior high school. And so I'm like sitting there feeling so uncomfortable. And I see my very best friend. This is a girl I hung out with every day in 5th and 6th grade. We're gonna call her Francesca. That'll be her name, her fake name. So I sprint towards Francesca, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a friend. I'm so grateful. I'm so happy you're here. Thank heavens. Francesca pushed me away, looked me up and down, and walked away. And for the next 4 months, it was her mission in life, along with her new group of friends, to make my life completely miserable. It was like a job. They would punch me in the arm as hard as they could as I walked down the hall. They would trip me. They'd knock the books out of my hands. They'd pull my hair. One girl came and grabbed the back of my head, yanked it down to the ground, and I hit my head so hard I passed out. My brain turned off. So a lot of physical bullying, and that sucked. That was terrible. And then something even worse started happening. I think it can be worse. We call it relational aggression. Have you ever seen the movie Mean Girls? You know what I'm talking about? It's the gossip, it's rumors, isolation, manipulation, and exclusion. It's where we use relationships as weapons against each other. And girls are particularly good at it, but boys certainly do it too. And that started happening. They would like whisper and point and laugh at me. They would spread rumors about me that they knew were not true. They would and they'd steal her away and be like, oh my gosh, you don't want to be friends with Jessie. She's so weird. And then make sure I knew I wasn't invited. Exclusion. That's how we use relationships as weapons. So that stuff hurt a little bit more than the bruises. It's healed. That stuff stays with you. That's hard. So that was a lot of pressure. The pressure and the pain of all that started building up and building. And then at this exact same time, so we're getting a divorce. And at this exact same time, I was failing math and science. And I love to learn. I've always loved to learn. I'm in my doctorate degree right now, and I actually love it because I'm just that nerdy. I love school. So to fail 2 classes was a really big stressor for me. And I was also beginning a very long battle with an eating disorder. So a lot of pressure built up. And when it's pressure, it has to go somewhere. You can't ignore it forever. You can't just stuff it away. It has to be dealt with, and it's going to come out one way or another. And that is why some kids cut. That's why some kids turn to an eating disorder, drugs and alcohol, an addiction to pornography, and even suicidal ideation. They want the pain to stop. They want to solve the problem, and they sometimes don't know how else to do it besides those things. So my drug of choice, how I numbed out from all this pressure I was feeling, was bullying. So even though I knew how bad it hurt to be bullied, I turned around and I became one of the worst. Regina George had nothing on me. I was so mean-spirited, mean for fun. I would whisper and point and laugh. I would knock the books out of the kids' hands. I would make fun of kids on purpose. I would not invite them to the party. Sure, they knew they weren't invited. I would spread rumors that I knew were not true. And it's a really hard story for me to share. This isn't a story I share very often because it fills me with shame. It's very, very difficult for me. But it was the catalyst that has led me to everything that I'm doing now. And so I do have gratitude for it. But all of this was happening. And then, oh, thank you. And then, it was also my teachers. And that led me to getting suspended from school 4 times. I went to in-school suspension twice and out-of-school suspension twice. And the 5th time I was supposed to be suspended, my amazing principal, Dr. Bayless at Centennial Middle, he pulled me. You're a mess. And he said, suspend is obviously making sense. You come back here after I suspend you, and you're even more angry. And you're even further behind in your classes, which makes your teachers even more angry, and I imagine that makes you feel even more uncomfortable helping you. And after literally 10 years of research on the damaging effects of suspension, I can tell you, research shows that suspension is directly linked to dropout and incarceration. It doesn't work. And my amazing principal recognized that, and then he did something incredible. He invested in me. He didn't just throw me away. He didn't just dismiss me. He invested in me. He fought for me. And he said, instead of suspending you, instead of just kicking you out to go play Xbox and eat Cheetos for 5 days, we're going to try something else. I'm going to send you to a leadership camp. It was a week-long event, and I was like, okay, sure, I guess. My parents made me go, didn't want to go. I showed up with this chip on my shoulder, like, yeah, you just try to teach me something. You just try to save me. And 2 days into the week-long event, this amazing woman, one of the leaders, came up to me, and she me a megaphone. And she said, hey, Jessie, I just need your help with something. I need you to get on this megaphone. And every 10 minutes, I just need you to announce to everyone at this camp, there were like 100 camp, I just need you to announce that it's time to rotate activities. That's all. I think you'd be good at this, Jessie. That was the first time in 2 years an adult had said something kind to me. And I remember in my 14, I remember thinking this thought: why on earth do you think I'd be good at this? Don't you know me? Didn't they tell you I'm bad? I'm a bully. I'm a brat. I totally believed the labels that had been put on me. I believed them. I thought that's who I was. So I remember thinking, don't you know that? Why on earth do you think I'd be good at this? But this little seed was planted in my mind that said, Jessie, what if you could be some leader? What if you could be? What if you don't have to be bad? What if you can rewrite the story? So I got on that megaphone and I discovered something amazing. I liked the megaphone. I liked it so much. And it was so cool because after I did what she asked me to do, the kids would come up to me and they would be like, hey, Jessie, where do I go next? Jessie, what time is lunch? Jessie, I need a hug. I'm homesick. And I was like looking around me like, who are you talking to? Why would you ask me that? I'm no leader. And of course it was just because I was holding the megaphone. But in my mind, I thought maybe they see something. Maybe they see something good in me. So this little seed was planted in my mind. Maybe you could be a leader, Jessie. Maybe you don't have to be bad. Maybe you can rewrite the story. That's really significant. And that camp, you guys, it of changing a kid's life. I did 360 and, wait, that's not, I went the other direction. And I totally changed. And I went back to that camp and multiple other camps year after year and became a camp counselor. I became obsessed. I love them. And I believe that they really do facilitate healing. So because of all that pain, because of Principal Dr. Bayless, my hero, he set the boundary. And I truly believe, you guys, we think of like a consequence, like a firm consequence, right? He said, Jessie, your behavior is unacceptable. It is not okay for you to treat people like that. Unacceptable. I will not put up with it. And I believe he set another boundary by giving me an expectation. He said, I'm not going to suspend you again. We're going to try something else. And I can't remember exactly what he said. I've tried so hard to remember the words, but he did give me a pep lines of, I see something good in you, Jessie. I see something good in you, and we just have to figure out how to get to it. That's basically what he was trying to say. And when he said it, I remember thinking, okay, like maybe he sees something good in me. That maybe my principal saw something good in me, and because he was fighting for me, because he was investing in me, I wanted to get better. I truly believe every kid wants to do well. To do well. What's in the way so that they can do. Kid wants to do well in the morning and says, I really want to be a loser today. I really want to disappoint people. No kid says that. Every kid wants to do well. So because he set those boundaries, high expectations, and absolutely not putting up with my bad behavior, he gave me that gift. I was able to figure it out. I went to school. My entire undergrad in psychology was so focused on bullying. I wanted to understand the psychology of it. Why do we get caught in that hate cycle? I got hurt, I hurt someone else. I got hurt, I hurt someone else. It was a drug. Bullying is absolutely an addiction. It's called a process addiction. You get used to that. I was purposely making someone else feel small so that I would feel better. So it does work like a drug. But what I discovered at that leadership camp was leadership did the exact same thing for me, but in a super healthy, awesome way. I got to feel powerful, but I also got to learn how to listen. And I also got to learn how to love. I also got to learn how to mentor younger kids. So leadership gave me the same high. Leadership helped me heal. And so I truly believe that when our kids are so anxious and they're disrespectful and they struggle, the last thing we need to do is dismiss them, kick them out, remove them from their community. What they need is to be brought in. What they need is to be invested in. What they need is to be fought for. It's exactly like a roller coaster. When you get on a roller coaster, they put that seatbelt over you and you push on it to try to make sure that it's going to hold you. what a boundary does. That's why boundaries are a gift. That's why boundaries help kids feel safe. And when they push against us and they're disrespectful and they have attitude and they're trying so hard to push us away, and when we fight back, when we push back with so much love, but firmness at the same time, when we do that, they feel safe. They feel like, maybe I could trust this person. Maybe they entertain that idea. And they do feel cared about. That is the gift of boundaries. It's so important. And I'm so grateful for all of that pain, even though it was so hard. I'm so grateful for all of it because it's totally led me to my biggest dream. I am not going to stop until I get to build a ranch up in Heber. And then during the school year, we're going to offer a suspension alternative program to Utah schools. So instead of kicking them out to play Xbox and eat Cheetos for 5 days, they can come to us and we will offer tutoring and counseling and nature therapy, removing them from their cell phones for a week, letting them be still. Right? Right? I know. And obviously we'll have all the fun things, the ropes course, the canoe of it, American Ninja. I know, that's. So, biggest dream, because I'm trying to pay forward what my amazing principal, Dr. Bayless, gave. I have to do it. Experience. What our kids need. Instead of being kicked out, they need to be brought in and fought for and invested in. That's the gift of boundaries. So hard. I am so guilty of it myself. My kids and I just talked about it like this week. I just want things to be easy for them. It's like what Mrs. Herbert was talking about. We want to hold because we don't want them to get hurt. So, and that's a beautiful thing. There's nothing wrong with it. But once we embrace the mindset that the boundaries and letting go of the bicycle is actually to do with our ego, us being comfortable. It's about benefiting the kid. That's a mindset. That's a muscle. And we have to exercise. We do it, we realize it really is a beneficial thing for our kids. So I love the gift of boundaries. And so anytime any of us parents, we are really tempted to just, I just really want to make this easy for you. I just really want to make sure you're comfortable. I just really want to make sure you get that participation trophy. We have to hold ourselves back and say, nope, that is not the best thing for my child. My child learning a respectable, independent, resilient adult is way more important than my comfort. Way more. And that's hard. But we can totally for them. So I want to close with one little song real quick. And I love this song so much. I want you to listen to the words. It's about cherishing the role of being a parent. And I just wanted to dedicate it to all of us parents who are completely, perfectly imperfect, but trying. And that is a great place to start. We can always add to it, add to our skill set, but just having the heart of caring about what's best for our kids and making sure that we're fighting for the kids, even when they're obnoxious, even when they're struggling, just like I was, when we have that mindset and we hold those boundaries, giving them the best. Look at what I'm given for creation, a sweet creation, something pure in my life. Look at all these changes. The light now shines within me, and you'll be mine speedily. There will be no darkness left to view. I live this form of love existed, but deep inside of me begins. So hold me in your heart, 'cause you'll have mine forever. The world like my arms, I'll protect you for always and never feel alone. I'll always be with you. where the heart is meant to be. You'll always have a home for me. We'll walk this road together, shelter you from burdens. Just lean your weight on me. Storms may bridge the distance, but you will always have a home here, right here inside my arms. And there's a love waiting just for you. I never knew this love existed. A world away from love that so hard, 'cause you'll have mine forever. The way you lay inside my arms, I'll protect you for always. Never feel alone, 'cause I'll always be with you. Home is where I'm meant to be. You'll always have a home. No matter where the journey leads you, if your path leads to someplace new, you'll always have a home near this heart of mine. So hold on, still have mine forever. Where you lay is hold me in your arms. I'll protect you for always. Always be with you. Home is where the heart is meant to be. You'll always have a home inside of me. Thank you.
Next to the stage tonight, Collin Kartchner. He created a popular parody Instagram account simply to poke fun of social media. And he used that account to raise awareness to the harmful effects that social media can have on our self-esteem and our self-worth. Instead of using his large following to earn paid sponsorships, he used his platform to raise large hurricane victims, cancer kids, and now has become a social activist of social media's mental health. He travels the country speaking to kids, parents, and educators. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me to the stage, Collin Kartchner.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that standing ovation. My name is Collin Kartchner. I think I'm saying that right. I'm from Pleasant Grove, Utah. Really happy to be here tonight on the set of Annie, Get Your Gun to speak to you about being parents. This is the 8th time I've spoke in the last 24 hours in 2 states, 15 days in 5 states. This is why my voice is like this. And usually I'm talking to junior high kids, not a bunch of old people. So this is going to be weird. But I'm really happy to be here with a bunch of parents because we need help, don't we? Do you remember before we free time and it's boring? I want to get rid of both. So let's have kids, the snooze button of hope and dreams, right? So here we are now. So without further ado, this is The Late Show. Let's get started. This is me. I have one outfit. And I need you to please, everyone stand to recite my pledge. I know you've been sitting for a little numb. You can squeeze it out. Put your hand on your heart and repeat after me. I, Collin, do solemnly swear that I will not go straight home after Collin's speech and chuck my kid's phone into Deer Creek or light their Xbox on fire. Sit down, thank you. My lawyers make me do that because A, I'm tired of getting my truck egged when I leave cities. Please don't do this. I was in southern Utah a little while ago. Mom sent me this video right after she left. Please don't do this.
The effects that social media have on my children, their disobedience and their disrespect.
This was in Hurricane. Those are her kids' iPhones right there that she pays for, and there they went. Yeah.
Set her up.
And just for the irony, where do you think she posted this? On Facebook. I was thinking a lot about life before phones, before we gave our kids every stimulus in the world, when they had to be bored and come up with their own ideas. And they did. They were amazing. And I think we forgot that when we let them, we don't have to give them an iPad and an Xbox 24/7. They just need a window and mom walk into Costco for 10 minutes. And we need to get back to this, is really what we need to do. Awkward segue. All right, so do you guys get this joke? It's the best. You get it? Okay, you get it? Thank you. He's on a segue, and it's awkward. So, okay, let's keep going. The kids in America now call me the Black Angel of iPhone death, which I love. I have it tattooed on my lower back. Because whenever Collin comes to our city, everyone's going to freak out. The moms, they're going to go to Blockbuster and buy us all flip phones, and our lives are over. And that usually, hopefully, doesn't happen. In fact, I just spoke to wherever this is, the Spectrum. Yeah, Aggies, yay, college. And I spoke to all the middle schools there that morning. And a middle school kid, goes, "We know you're coming to our city. We're ready for you. Just so you know, this is floating on all the school Snapchat pages." I'm like, yes, I become an internet meme. This is fantastic. But my own church hates me. I'm a member of a church, in Utah. And here's why. Is I realized about a year ago that in your phone settings, you can change the name of your phone to anything you want. And I was at church one day. I was like, why is everyone on their phone? So I changed the name of my phone to Jesus. And the reason why is because when people are on their phones at church, when they should be paying attention, I turn on AirDrop. Some of you know where this is going. And all of a sudden, everyone on their phones, it goes, Jesus would like to send you this photo. And then the next one is this. And every phone goes away. Every phone. I talk to kids every day. I did 7 assemblies yesterday in Rapid City, South Dakota. 2 days before that, I was in Rancho Cucamonga. Next week, I'll be in Williamsburg, Virginia, and then Aurora, Colorado, because I get messages. Everything I'm going to show you tonight is from Utah kids. Hey, Collin, my name is blank. You came spoken Logan today. I need to tell you how much you helped me. Today I was planning on ending my life while my family went to your speech. My mom literally dragged me in the car to make me come. And when I heard what you said, I realized so much. Specifically, that social media has had a huge negative impact on my life, and I've decided to get rid of it for good. Thank you for what you said and for saving my life. I get these all the time. This is why I do this. Last June, I started a movement called Save the Kids. And I won't tell you the story of how it started. You have to come to an assembly sometime. But I started this movement because 12 years ago, a bunch of rich people in Silicon Valley got in a room and they shut the doors and they said, well, what if we take smartphones and iPads and then through the principles of neuroaddiction, we take games and social media and we make them as addictive as we possibly can. We'll make billions. And then Kenneth raised his hand, and no, I didn't pay for that photo. And he said, wait, if we do that, aren't we going to turn every adult into zombies? Because we need to interact with friends. And we looked at Kenneth and we laughed. We said, did you hear what we said? We'll drive. We did. And then they gave it to all grandparents. And then the tech ruined all of our lives. Every assembly, I say, raise your hand if you think your own mom or dad spent a little bit too much time on their own phone. Every hand goes up, even the principal. And then they were 10 or 12, and we were like, I want your and here's the problem, is these devices are way too awesome. This is at death's doorstep. And his granddaughter's like, Peppa Pig. Everywhere I go, this is what I see. Disneyland last month, $400 hard-earned money to ride the new Star Wars land ride called Look at Your Phone for an hour and a half. Everywhere I go, I haven't met this dad yet. Sorry if that's you. We're all alone together. This is the great disconnect. This was a lagoon the other day, a kid on a ride watching a video. This was at a Real game. I'm like, dude, these are fourth away clash. This was at a bowling alley. What is the kid doing? I'm like, what the heck? This was in Utah County, so I'm like, hey, Jaden with 4 Ys, look up. You're at a bowling alley. You could bowl the real thing. He even has a wrist brace on. That must be intense. He's like, ow, 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 carpal tunnel. And companies are cashing in on our kids. We just got Fisher-Price's new Baby's First Xbox controller for 6-month-olds. Baby's first iPhone for 3-month-olds. And Jade said she's teaching her kid how to potty train. Get her one of these. What is this? I don't know. What is that? What is this? So now I have a little 1-year-old in the big boy potty. We're like, you're ready, Connor, with a cue. Guess what? You're gonna go poo with a screen. And he's like, can I poo alone? And we're like, no, swipe, then wipe. What? What if I do that backwards? Wipe, swipe. Oh, shoot. Mom, get the squeegee. Top seller on Amazon right now is an over-the-neck phone holder for babies. Look at the child's face. Even he knows. He's like, help me. I don't want this. Even the elephants are trying to save our species. Look at this. High schoolers. Oh, my gosh. Long-nosed pupper. You're not. Yeah. How bad is it when we as parents aren't doing our job? Elephants are raising our kids. And here's the deal. My message is called Save the Kids, but that's not what it is. It's Save the Parents, because we can't save our kids until we save ourselves. We have to be better examples. How many of our dinner tables look like this?
Oh, it's so nice to all be sitting down together. You can tell me something they did today.
I drew a horsey.
Good for you, son. I love you too, sweetheart.
I'm selling bongs out of our minivan.
I got a tramp stamp. I'm getting implants. I'm dating your brother.
Uh-huh.
I'm cooking meth in the basement.
Great idea, kiddo. That's why you're so popular at school.
How many of your kids are cooking illicit drugs in the basement and they're driving Lamborghinis and they told you at dinner, but you were crushing candy? Grandparents too. I see here. Grandparents, what happened to you? Those things are pretty awesome. You know how I teach kids at assemblies? Is your grandma on it too much? Here's how you get her off. Just throw something at her. That's how you get them off. So what is going on with your kids? I am not an adult. I am a kid in an adult body. I love the kids. They're my people. And our kids are struggling. We are in the middle of a huge mental health crisis, a public health crisis. There's no other way to say this. Time found the saddest kid they could. They told us, this is every American teenager. Teen anxiety, depression, and suicide since 2010, that same year, 2010, has been skyrocketing. The number of kids going to the ER with suicidal thoughts has doubled in 12 months. Suicide rates for girls, 10 to 14, is now surpassing boys. In Utah, last October, 1/4 of our teenagers said they feel sad enough to consider suicide. Since that same year, 2011, youth suicide jumped 141%. 2010, 2011, that's the same year. Instagram was in 2010, Snapchat 2011. We gave it to our kids. We said, good luck. You know what else came out in 2010? Bachelor in Paradise. Maybe that one. And I'm trying to, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. I spoke at a medical, I was like, Collin, the reason why the Utah and Montana and Colorado suicide rates are so high is because the altitude. What? I've been to Nepal. The kids are ecstatic. It could be the frostbite. Who knows? I'm trying to figure out maybe. I'm talking to the kids every day. What if it has something to do with this whole experiment called give them a phone, let them zone out and see what happens. When I do assemblies, I hand out note cards. I have thousands. I say fill in the blank. One thing my parents don't know about social media is what? And they say, oh, these are all Utah. Nobody really cares about anything. One thing my parents don't know about social media is that they're blocked. Oh, snap. Smart kid. My favorite in Brighton High School, one thing my parents don't know, truthfully, I've never struggled with recognize this handwriting. Uh-oh. The cars of our children in Utah. They don't know that social media makes me sad and depressed. How it brings me depression. It puts pressure on me to be perfect. Look at this 8th grader. Social media near the end of my life. This year, finally, we have an actual journal study proving what we already knew for years, is that the rate of teen anxiety depression is tied directly to how much time they're doing this. One of my favorite people said this the other day. She didn't hold back. If your kid's struggling with anxiety, depression, get them off social media, period. 17-year-old girl, she's the head of a cheer team at a high school right now. Send me this message. Collin, thank you for what you're doing. You move mountains in my life. I'm 17 and I've had body dysmorphia, anxiety, and depression ever since I got a phone and social media when I was 11. When I got that phone, I was hooked. Everything evil at my fingertips, people posting lies that made me feel inferior, products sold that fueled my BDD, porn on my feed, accounts that promoted eating disorders and self-harm. It destroyed me. I wish my parents had monitored me. They would have saved me from this darkness. I dealt with suicide attempts, self-harm, anorexia, hospice, therapy, addiction. It took away my innocence. It taught me to hate who I am. I went right to her Instagram page right after I got this message. And a girl in Utah going through all this, what do you think every photo looked like that she shared? Mask, right? That's the hard. It's kids from our example, how to mask everything. Don't change your meds, your hair, nothing. Take a week off social media. Tell me how you feel. She said, no way. I'm the head of the cheer team here. Like, this is my life. I said, just take a week off. She said, no. I said, fine, next message. A week later, out of the blue, she wrote me back. She said, I did it. All I did was take a week off. And let me tell you, I'm thriving. I have much. I love my life now. Why does she love her life now? Because she's paying attention to it. The minute I realized social media is toxic is the same minute. Kids tell me this all the time too, and I'm so glad to talk with Clay. I love what they're doing. Bad stuff is easy to find. There's a ton of porn. Parents, do you remember how hard it was to find porn when you were our age or your kid's age? I found it when I was 7. Do you know how I found it? There was one kid in our school with a ponytail who had a brother who was in middle school with a longer ponytail, who had a dad with a longer ponytail. And we got in our bikes, remember those? And we rode up a mountain house that was the creepiest thing you've ever seen. And then underneath was a JCPenney catalog. Not even the good stuff. But now, we hand our kids a phone, and what you're saying is, here's a Playboy magazine, now don't look at this. That's what we're doing. Your kids could easily, like Clay said, could find porn so easy. Give me your kid's phone that's locked down with the monitoring apps. Give me that phone. 2 clicks, I will get on porn. And every kid knows how to find it. If they don't want it, it's being sent to them. So, we are handing our kids snakes. They're getting bit every time. I'm writing a children's book, because why not, about a boy. Maybe 8 or 9, and he wants a snake so bad, because why? Everyone has one, and they're obsessed. He goes to a park to play. The playground is empty. The kids are on the bench looking at their snake. Dinner time, no one's talking. They're holding their snake. Bowling alleys, they're not bowling, they're holding their snake. So he says, Mom, I want a snake. You can trust me. I'm 8. 2 years ago, I mastered bedwetting. I'm ready to master the snake. And Mom's like, I don't know. Okay, well, here, maybe. And then the snake bites him. And he feels shame. He feels all the pain. The shame that we put on our kids when they get bit by the snake we bought and paid for. When you find your kid got bit, and our kids are getting bit all day, sexting, juuling, any of this stuff, pornography. When you find out they got bit, how on earth can we react like this? How dare you get bit by the snake I pay $40 a month for, right? Please, when you leave. This kid opened his heart to me. This 14-year-old boy in Utah. Collin, I've been struggling with addiction to pornography since I was 12, ever since I convinced my mom to let me get Instagram. Do you know Instagram is the leading platform where kids are being exposed to pornography? I'm getting more and more addicted, and I'm getting brainwashed from social media to say that porn isn't that bad. Did you know Snapchat sent a story out to all the kids on Snapchat that literally said, porn isn't that bad? The next slide said, porn fosters wholesome communities. What? I used to be the nicest, most fun kid, but now I'm in a cloud. I don't like who I am. He opened his heart to me, and I wrote him back, and I said, I'm so proud of you. Thank you for telling me you got bit. Now go tell the guy who matters. Go tell Dad. I'm proud of you. He said, I will. The next morning, he wrote me back. He said, Dad, I did it. I told my dad. And he yelled at me, and he said I was gross, and he sent me in my room. And that's what I screamed and wanted to say, that's because he's looking too, but I didn't. When you leave here, please, for your kids' sake, whenever they're brave enough to come to you and say, I got bit, and I don't care what it is, it can be small, medium, large, they got bit. Step one, Dad, I got bit. The only thing you say is nothing. And you do it till this age, it's about a minute and a half, just kidding. 4 seconds at the most. And the first thing out of your mouth is not what my dad told me when I got bit, which was, what the is wrong with you? On the backside. And all he told me by that was, just hide it better, right? So grateful that you told me you got bit. Step two, what can we do to help you? Please, your kids need you in their corner. They're struggling. This world is so mucky and filthy, you have no idea. They need you in their corner. And last, all over that your kids are not getting enough of. The best thing I've learned in the last year is this. Every assembly I do, I say, how many of you before you came to school, before you walked out of the house, got a giant hug before you left the room? Hands will go out in an assembly, 2,500 kids, 20. Boys are like, I didn't hug her, she hugged me. Right? The best thing I've learned is from an actual PhD in Utah, Dr. Kane. She found through brain scans that kids need a certain number of hugs every day to maintain chemical balance, to help smooth out the weirdness, the depression that they're gonna see every day. And what is that number? 8. Every day for 8 seconds. So guess what? I'm gonna make sure we all learn how awkward 8 seconds can last. Everyone, stand up one more time for me. Get up. If you didn't bring a +1 tonight, this might get weird. Grab someone next to you you know and love. If not, give them a fist bump. I'm gonna count a regular 8. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 7.5, 8. Sit down, perverts. Okay. Very good, very good. Why are you guys still hugging? They're like 22, 23, shut up, keep going. Did you feel the joy? It's quiet. Your kids need 8 of those every day. You do too, parents. I've had couples come up, message me after parent nights. Collin, my wife and I came to your parent night. We were in divorce court. We're like, maybe we'll do the 8 hug thing to ourselves. 2 weeks later, we're back in business. One of my favorite, where else are you gonna go? You don't have kids at home. One of the Disneyland princesses follows me for a couple years. She's like, Collin, I'm a Disneyland princess. I love what you do. I can't tell you which one, I'd have to kill you. She said, did you know the handbook rule at Disneyland or any Disney resort is if and when a child hugs us, we can't be the first one to break the hug. And I'm like, what? What? I said, what? The parents today are all working at neck break speeds to give their kids everything they think they need, which is what? More stance socks, Vans, that so many of the parents forgot to give the kids what they really need, which is to be. And if they don't get that from us, because we're down here, where do booty pick, right? So I told my kids, when we go to Disneyland next month and you see Tinkerbell, let's test the hypothesis. 12 hours, I'll just shove sandwiches in your mouth. And as that's happening, I'll do this the whole time. See me? Do you want to watch 2 minutes and 32 seconds of this kid's? It's true. And lastly, on behalf of the kids, and I do assemblies, I say, how many of you with these kiddos see us and they need us? This is a 13-year-old last message. Collin, it's insane, Utah girl. I grew up with the good parents. They taught me well. They gave me everything I needed. But now I'm a teenager, I've never been so distant. It's not because of me, the teenager, like you'd assume. It's because I can't get my mom and dad to get off their dumb phones, to get off Facebook and Instagram and listen about my day or ask questions about my day or my feelings. I have never felt more unloved because of a phone. I wish. We love billboards in Utah, all right? I-15 we call Panic Express. A billboard up soon that's gonna say this, showing your kids you love them. 98% just putting down your phone. What do you think, yeah? I'm gonna put it smack dab in between the bleach your eyeballs and cool sculpt your kidneys, all those ones. Now, 22 months ago, my wife, where is she? Hot wife over here. 22 months ago, my wife right there, isn't she pretty? She's way too hot for him, I know. 22 months ago, my wife found this article. Mr. Steve Jobs, the man who invented smartphones and iPads, wouldn't let his own kids use them. The co-founder of Facebook, we looked at this next. He said, when we created these social media apps, we were exploiting the brain. We did it on purpose. We did it anyways. God only knows what this is doing to our kids. So she looked at me and she said, let's do it. 22 months ago, we took every screen out of our house except for one TV. iPads, Kindles, Xbox, Wii, PS4. Chucked it just to see what the kids would do. Yeah, it was a horrible idea. Don't clap. Xbox, Wii. Even the bitty crackheads, yeah. They lost their minds. What are we gonna do? How are we gonna live? Avery's like, are we gonna churn butter like the Amish too? But after one day of meltdowns, our kids have never been the same. This was the best thing we ever did. We come home, they're like, I'm bored. I promise you can do it. I ask this question every day. What can we do? How do we save the kids? There's a lot we need to do. But when I'm bored, I'm like, here's a bucket of dirt. They need less time on the screens so they can connect again like humans, like kids are supposed to. They need less time on the screens.
Ha ha ha!